Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are wading into a really tough financial challenge. It's one that hits highly qualified professionals, students, you name it, the moment they move to North America.
It's such a strange paradox, isn't it? You could have, decade of perfect credit, a huge savings account in, say, Seoul or Paris.
Right.
But the second you land in the US or Canada, poof, your entire financial identity just evaporates.
Absolutely. We're talking about that huge, overwhelming hurdle of getting the essentials, a reliable car, a loan for it, insurance, when the local system sees you as having zero, absolutely zero credit history.
And that's the core of it, right? Risk assessment. The big lenders, the banks, the major car dealerships, they rely completely on a local credit score. In the US, that's tied to your Social Security number.
So if they can't run that check?
Their models they don't know what to do. They don't see you as a moderate risk. They see you as a complete and total unknown.
And unknown means a massive financial penalty.
Yeah.
You go from being a successful global professional to, well, being treated like you've never handled money before in your life.
Our sources had this perfect, shocking example. The story of Nu Kil-jae, an expat who just moved to the U.S. from South Korea.
20-year credit history there, right?
Perfect credit management for 20 years. But he walks into a U.S. dealership, Kia, Toyota, Honda, and just gets the financial cold shoulder.
The numbers they're just jaw-dropping. One dealership, Kia, flat out denied him.
You said no.
And others, like Toyota and Honda, they came back with offers. Loan terms with interest rates of, 23 to 25%?
Can you imagine that? You've successfully managed your finances for 2 decades, and now you're being quoted a rate that's just frankly predatory for a new car.
It's a systemic thing, though. The finance manager at a traditional dealership, their hands are tied. The computer says no because there's no SSN, no FICO score.
It's a complete non-starter.
But, and this is the whole point of our deep dive today, Nu Kil-jae did not settle for 25%. He somehow managed to secure a brand new Jeep Grand Cherokee L financed at a very competitive 7%.
So our mission today is to lay out that path. How you get from that shocking 25% quote down to something reasonable like 7%. We're going to cover the strategies and, crucially, the documents you absolutely must have ready.
Okay, let's start with the U.S. market. If conventional financing is a dead end, what's the very first move? How do you bypass that SSN wall?
You have to, from day one, abandon the idea of walking into a mainstream bank or dealership.
The ones that only look at FICO scores.
Exactly. You have to pivot immediately to specialized programs, the ones that are specifically designed for foreign nationals.
It's interesting because whole companies have been built just to fill this gap. Our sources point to a big one, International AutoSource, or IAS.
Yeah, they've been around since 1995. They've helped over 50,000 people, executives, doctors, students get competitive financing without a U.S. credit history.
And it sounds like it's more than just a loan application service. It's almost like a concierge service to cut through all the red tape.
It really is. Nu Kil-jae's story shows that perfectly. IAS didn't just approve his loan. They gave him a dedicated sales manager who spoke Korean and walked him through every single line of the contract.
That's invaluable.
Oh, absolutely. And then he hit another classic expat wall getting car insurance. The online system wouldn't finalize his quote without a U.S. financial history.
So what did the IAS manager do?
He didn't just give him advice. He got on a 1-hour, 3-way conference call with Nu Kil-jae and the insurance agent and just guided him through the entire thing.
Wow. That is the difference between giving up and actually getting it done. It shows the barrier isn't always the money. It's the sheer administrative friction.
Exactly. Now, IAS is great for, executives with clear job offers. But what if you're a student or you're just looking for a good used car?
Well, that's where we're seeing this rise of online lenders. They've built their own risk models that look at other data, not just FICO. Names like Stilt, Lenbuzz, Nomad, and Borrow. They all specialize in loans for foreign nationals.
And sometimes the car companies themselves step up. Volvo, for example, has some programs for students. They let you lease without a credit history, but there's a catch.
You have to pay up front.
Often, yeah. One big lump sum payment to cover the whole lease term. It's a lot of cash, but it gets you the car and peace of mind.
Okay, so that brings us to another option, one that's a bit riskier, but way more accessible, especially for used cars. The buy here, pay here model, BHPH.
Right. For anyone who doesn't know, a BHPH dealer is both the car seller and the bank. They finance you in-house.
And the huge advantage there is they often don't do a traditional credit check at all. They're just focused on whether you can make the payments now.
And this is where another piece of paper becomes really, Really important. The ITN.
The individual taxpayer identification number. A lot of newcomers might have that before they get an SSN.
Yeah. Exactly. The IRS issues it for tax purposes. But BHPH dealers will often accept it instead of a Social Security number. It lets them approve you on the spot with other documents, like proof of your job and where you live. It's a massive shortcut.
But wait, if it's that easy, what's the catch? It sounds a little too good to be true.
That is the right question to ask. Because they're taking on more risk, their interest rates are usually much higher. We're talking back in that 20–25% range sometimes.
Ouch.
And, this is critical, you have to make sure the dealer reports your payments to the big credit bureaus. Equifax, TransUnion, Experian.
Ah, so if they don't, you're just paying a high rate for nothing. No credit building benefit.
Precisely. So the strategy is, you use BHPH if you have to, but you treat it as a stepping stone. You swallow the high rate for a while, specifically to build that U.S. credit score.
Okay, so no matter which path you take, IAS, online lender, BHPH, you need a ton of paperwork. Let's run through that checklist.
For sure. First up, identity and presence. That's your passport, foreign ID, and your visa or passport stamp proving you're here legally. Second, financial stability. This can be the tough part. You'll need a letter from your employer with your salary, maybe recent pay stubs, even bank statements from your home country.
And lastly, what you call local commitment.
Right. Proof of residence, like a utility bill or a lease. And this is a big one, a valid U.S. driver's license. An international one might work for a few weeks, but getting that local state license shows you're serious. It really lowers their perceived risk.
The bottom line is you have to make your entire financial life an open book to make up for not having that one little number, that FICO score.
Exactly.
Now let's pivot north to Canada. The process is different, but the financial shock is just as real, especially with car insurance. It's mandatory everywhere, of course, and price for newcomers is just brutal.
Oh, it is. The sources we looked at said newcomers often get quotes around 450 Canadian dollars a month.
Whoa! $450 a month just for insurance.
Yes. Because without any local driving or insurance history, their algorithms just put you in the highest possible risk category, period.
That's over $5,400 a year.
Yeah.
That could break your budget right there. So how do you even start to bring that number down?
Strategy number one is documentation. Documentation.
Before you even leave home.
Before you leave, you have to arrive with official, physical proof of your driving and insurance history. Get letters from your old insurance companies showing how long you were a customer and if you had any claims. Many Canadian insurers will factor that in, but only if you can prove it.
If you show up with nothing, you're starting from scratch. But if you have a folder proving 20 years of clean driving, you can shave hundreds off that quote.
Exactly. And strategy two is licensing. The second you get there, make it a priority to get your full Canadian driver's license.
And take a course, right?
Yes. Completing an accredited Canadian driver training course will often qualify you for an immediate discount.
Let's talk about that license exchange. Using Ontario as an example, they have agreements with a lot of countries, right? Like Korea, the US, Germany, Japan.
They do.
Yeah.
And if your license is from one of those countries, you can usually drive on it for about 60 days. Then you have to go in and exchange it. It's usually just an eye test, maybe a written test, depending on your situation. But getting that provincial license is it's a critical first step.
And what about getting the actual car loan in Canada? Is it as tough?
It can be. The big banks are pretty strict without a credit history. The key is to open a bank account immediately, preferably with a bank that has a specific program for newcomers, like Scotiabank's Start Right program.
So you build a relationship first.
You build a relationship, show you're reliable, and that opens the door to maybe getting an auto loan down the line. And just like in the U.S., choosing an insurance-friendly car, like a Honda Civic or a Toyota Corolla, can make a huge difference in those premiums.
It seems like it's all about controlling the variables you can control. You use paperwork to prove your history, you get a local license to prove your commitment, you pick a safe car. You're just chipping away at that risk profile.
That's the game. Which leads perfectly into the next big question. Should you buy, lease, or just rent a car? And this really depends on one thing: how long you're planning to stay.
The sources are pretty clear on this. If it's a short assignment, say a year or less, just rent.
Yep. Maximum flexibility, no long-term ties. Easy.
For 1 to 3 years, leasing is usually the most cost-effective. You get a new, reliable car with a warranty, and you don't have to worry about selling it when you leave.
If you're staying for 3 years or more, or you think you might stay permanently, you really should buy.
It's the best financial and strategic move long-term.
Absolutely. The total cost of ownership is lower, but more importantly is how you start building your financial future in that new country. That first auto loan, even with a high-ish rate, is the first entry on your new credit report.
And that's the key. Those monthly payments, as long as they're being reported, are the foundation of your future credit score. Buying lets you build equity, you don't have mileage limits.
Right, so you might pay a bit more in interest up front, but the long-term payoff, a good credit score that lets you rent an apartment, get a mortgage, all of it, is massive.
So let's wrap this all up for you. We've gone from these concierge programs like IAS to the pretty harsh reality of a $450 insurance quote in Canada. The strategies are clear, though.
They are. You have to bypass the traditional lenders, you have to document every piece of your foreign financial and driving life, and you have to pick your path buy, lease, rent based on your timeline.
And remember to manage all the paperwork in parallel. While you're car shopping, you also need to be working on getting that social security number or IT on. That number is the key to everything.
Which brings us back to Moo Kill J and that 25% interest rate trap. This is so important. As a newcomer, you're really vulnerable to predatory lenders who see that you're in a tight spot.
They'll demand huge down payments. They'll be vague about the loan terms.
And here is your ultimate defense.
Yeah.
You must demand absolute transparency on the annual percentage rate, the APR.
Which isn't just the interest.
No, it's the true cost of the loan, with all the fees baked in. It's the only number that lets you actually compare one offer to another. If a lender won't show you the full APR, or if they won't explain every single line item in a language you fully understand, you walk away.
The lesson here is that you have to be your own advocate. You have to question everything because that very first car loan payment, that's the first brick in your U.S. or Canadian credit history. It will follow you for years.
That's such a powerful point. And for you, the listener, here's your takeaway, your first step. Go online right now and research the license exchange agreements for your home country and the state or province you're moving to.
Because getting that local license is the fastest way to start proving you belong, to unlock lower insurance rates, and to get on the road.
Be prepared and have your paperwork ready. We'll see you next time.